So what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode Drive Miami. Today we are at the International Center. I'm waiting on a bus, so I got hop my happy ass all the way to Orlando to save George's ass. So with that being said, you guys already know. Alright, we gotta put down the volume. Alright, so we're in Orlando. Come all the way over here to save George's ass yet again. So what's going on right now? George went ahead and installed the suspension himself. How'd that turn out?
Not too good.
So basically, in a nutshell, he installed it. I haven't really looked at it, but I'm assuming he installed it good. The only problem is he made a few adjustments incorrectly, which is he tried to drop it, but he dropped it incorrectly by dropping it by the preload. At least that's what we assume. So we're gonna go ahead and check it out, make sure everything's fine, and you guys already know what it is. So, George. All right. So we're here saving George's ass. So basically, what's going on right now? We got the car. I already went ahead and inspected. At least popped the hood, popped the trunk. Went ahead and inspected the top at least. I went ahead and adjusted the dampening temporarily. Basically, it has 25 points of adjustment. I put on the 5th setting. Technically speaking, we were to say they're in stages. It would be stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It would be the first stage, 5th point of the 25-point adjustment. Now, next up, we're gonna go ahead and lift this car up. And then once we lift the car up, we're gonna go ahead and see what's going on with the car itself. So basically, what's happening with the car right now is as he hits a bump, it makes this loud, like, clicking sound. Like I said, I think he adjusted the preload. So we're gonna go ahead and check it out first. I'm gonna take all the measurements I need with the, my ruler or my tape measure, and then we're gonna figure out what's going on with it, make it stop clicking. So basically, he's running right now. At this moment, he's running Fortune Auto coilovers. They're really, really good coilovers. They shouldn't be doing any of that stuff, especially brand new. So we're gonna get into it. Let's check it out. Hopefully, we save George's ass. So I was just gonna run you guys through my day, but today we're gonna make a video of suspension do's and don'ts. First things first, don't use this kind of tool to tighten your lug nuts, because obviously, look, they're all loose. Don't tighten your shit with one of these. Do tighten it with a breaker bar and a proper sized socket, but that's the first do and don't. On to the next one. Alright, so this is already this started off very sketchy. So let's see what else we find once we take the wheel off. The wheels off. Oh man, look what we're taking it off with, bro. I'm in amazement right now. And these things are all loose. So we're gonna check all the bolts in the suspension just to be safe, but it's looking pretty sketchy. So yeah, we'll get back to you in just a sec. All right, so the first mistake we found, basically, like I said, he adjusted the preload. So you guys have to check this out. Hold on. So basically, if you notice right here, he adjusted the preload down. So you have all this going on, which is not supposed to happen. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust the preload back up. It was 1 inch, George, right? All right, so we're gonna bring it up 1 inch. After we bring it up 1 inch, because that's what they dropped it by, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that this thing is not making any noise, which I'm 100%. This is all the noise that's happening in the suspension. Once we fix this, we're gonna give it a drive, make sure this is fine, and then we're gonna adjust the ride height, which I'm pretty sure this is the exact reason why it's making noise. So let's fix this first. So now that I even mentioned what's wrong, let's do our suspension do's and don'ts. You do this. You do drop it by undoing this bottom portion with your special tool, and then you're supposed to spin the entire, either the bottom, which is under here, this entire thing, you spin it, or you try to spin the coil itself to bring it up and down. You do not adjust preload. So let's go from there. Where's the measuring tape? All right, so like I said, we're gonna go ahead and bring this up. So we're gonna go ahead. This is about 1 inch here. He says he dropped it about 1 inch, so we're gonna pick it up 1 inch. And after we pick it up 1 inch, we're gonna make sure that there's a tension on this. I'm not 100% if it's correct or not, but we're just gonna give it a shot just to make sure. Like I said, I'm chasing what was already done. I'm not 100%, but we're gonna try to fix it, of course. So here we go. So what we're gonna do now is I went ahead and broke this collar. See, the collar's already spinning here. And then we're just gonna spin this and bring this all the way up 1 inch from where it's at. All right, so let's do that. So in a nutshell, what we've done, we went ahead and adjusted the preload. Basically, this is a 6-inch spring. So we went ahead and adjusted it 1 inch from what he originally told me, which ended up being, since this is a 6-inch spring, you needed about 1/4 of preload on it. So you see, there's no play now in the spring. We have 1/4 preload on it. This measures out to 2 inches now instead of 1 inch. So we're back at to the exact preload, and I know double because I double checked it. According to this being 6 inches, you get, like I said, 1/4 of an inch of preload. So you go 6 inches, a little bit past 6 inches. That's how you know it's tight, ready to go. Like I said, that's already adjusted. We're gonna put the wheel on. We're gonna do the other side, and then give it a test drive. Make sure it doesn't do that clunking or any of that stuff anymore. Of course, check the back too, and then after that, do the ride height. So, do's and don'ts. All right, back to suspension do's and don'ts. Your end links, sway bar end links. Check this out. Make sure you tighten your bolts. And also, it needs to be measured accordingly, and it needs to be even on both ends, and even with the other side as well, which I'm not 100% sure, but after I take off both wheels, I'm gonna do a little slight measurement. We're gonna fix it and tighten these bolts. So, do's, tighten your bolts. Don't ever leave them loose, and measure them correctly. Man, I pray that these little tools will not be able to take this wheel off right now. Like the other side. I'm praying. Seriously. Because you've been driving around like this for how long? How long have you been driving like, how long? For real?
A week.
You've been driving like this for a week. You know you could have died.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah, I could have died.
Could have fucking died, man.
Yeah, I could have died.
Oh man, here's the moment of truth. Bro, I'm literally putting no effort into this. Look. This is bad, dude. We need to have a conversation about cars. We need to have a conversation about cars. Alright, so I'll bullshit aside. Let's take this wheel off and let's see what's going on. Because fuck, this is bad. Well, not bad, but, you know, could be worse. So, basically the same thing. This is loose, obviously. You adjust the preload, so we're going to put the preload back to where it should be. And then, this is an easy fix. To be honest with you guys, I know I'm like giving George like hassle and all that stuff, but this is a simple mistake that a lot of people do. A lot of people who go from like the cheaper coilovers to the more expensive coilovers. He didn't, but this is just something that happens with a lot of people. It happened to me like years ago. Basically, if you have like race lands only have 1 point of adjustment. That's just the ride height, which adjusts, you know, basically everything, dampening, the quality of ride, all that BS. And it's only adjusted by one portion, which is the middle coil. So sometimes people, when they switch from cheaper coilers to newer coilers, they don't know you have to adjust it from the bottom, not from the top. And they adjust the preload, and then they're like, man, what's going on? So, simple mistake. This is actually made for you guys to like not do this. It just happens, but just don't worry about it. If you do run into this, you guys know what to do now. So, let's just fix it. All right. Man. All right. So, let me just show you. So they went ahead and put some APR studs in here, or ARP. I forget the name of the thing. Whatever the studs are, right? They went ahead and put the studs, and they used these like sockets, right? They were all loose first of all, and then I come to find out, well, how do I get these off, right? How do you get them off? Hey, George, let me get the key. This is what it gives me, right? So technically speaking, this fits in there like this, and it spins inward, right? So what happens when this doesn't go in anymore? I mean, you know what this guy hands me? He hands me this. He hands me this. This is what he put the wheel on with. Oh, yo, what the, yo, really? All right, so we're gonna have to take this shit out somehow with this, and we're gonna put this back on. But bro, hey, deadass, we're not gonna be driving this. We're not. Yeah, you can't. You're gonna have to drive that car until you get the new studs, like, because that's. Yo, what the fuck? All right, so basically, what's going on now? We went ahead and we adjusted all the preload and all 4 portions of the suspension. So basically, it would be to consider stock height to wherever the factory left it. Let's go ahead and give the car a test drive. Hopefully there's no clicking noises. Obviously we didn't get a video of the clicking noises, but it just made clicking noises. Just believe us what I said, it made it. So let's go ahead and drive the car around, make sure there's no clicking noises, and we'll go from there. So test drive time. I already don't hear anything. So basically what's going on right now, we gave it the test drive, we drove it around, there's no more clunky noises, we adjusted the preload. So here's the things that were wrong with the car. The preload was adjusted way too low. So obviously he was trying to drop the car, adjusted the preload instead, and then that was that. They messed that up. The only bolts that were on tight enough were the top bolts. Every single other bolt was not tightened enough or all the way or at all. As crazy as it sounds. So, in a nutshell, sway bar links and links not tightened at all. They were loose completely. The bolts that hold the suspension to the whatever the hell that it connects to, brain fart, whatever that is that connects to the suspension itself, the 2 bolts, they were loose as well. What else was loose? Sway bar links, the things. Oh, the preload was completely maladjusted, that the spring was like flying everywhere. We adjusted all of that finally, so we don't have any issues with that. So we don't have to worry about that for right now. Next thing that we're gonna tackle is ride height. So now if you come with me, start off with the back. So the back, we might just leave it exactly where it's at because of the fact that if you see here, come squat a little bit, we have it more or less tucked with the tire itself. Normally I like to go a little lower than that, but for right now, since George is semi-new to dropping cars and stuff like that, there's going to be enough clearance with ride height clearance, but I want him to be semi-stance, but in a conservative stance, you know, no stretch, none of that like fitment exactly, you know, poking out or whatever. So we're going to do with a flush fitment, square setup. We're going to leave it like this. I already measured it out, and I did the measurements from here to here, and the centimeter or millimeter measurement conversion turns out to be about like 15 mil spacer of what we're gonna need for the back. We're not gonna need anything for the front. Ride height wise, I think we're okay with the ride height. Just need the spacer to make it look a little better, because if you notice, check this out, it's like sunken in here. We're trying to get it to where it's like, if you notice, like here, like this I don't like when it comes to cars and stance. If you notice, I'm a very like picky guy when it comes to stance. This is ugly as hell to me. I can't stand this. So we're gonna put the spacer on just a little bit to get it more or less flush to where it looks, you know, you don't have that ugly overshadow with the fender and it's like sucked in. So it looks flush with the wheel. So it looks more like a toy car, show car, whatever you want to call it. It looks more nicer. It just looks nicer. So let's go to the front. So the front part, as you see here, we're a little too high. We got 2 finger gap clearance. You know, it's like the more fingers, the worse it is. So when we're done with this, we're gonna just drop it about, I don't know the exact measurements. I'm just gonna start eyeballing it more or less and do it even on both sides and go from there. I'm assuming I'm gonna drop it about like an inch or so. I want to say like an inch and a half, maybe an inch. But the goal is to get it not right at the tire, but just like right here at the line, give or take. So that way it's semi like low but tucked in, but not really. So that's what we're gonna do with the front. Once he buys the spacer for the back, I'll come back later and we'll readjust it. But it's just, this is just for the right now. So like I said, we're here to save George's ass. So far we saved his ass. So now we're just gonna make him look cool. So that's basically the thing. So we're gonna adjust the ride height and go from there. So you guys already know. All right, so we're gonna take a little moment to go back to our do's and don'ts. First things, what you wanna do is unbrake or break this little collar here, as in loosen it, and then spin the coil with your 2 hands. Take a look, it spins with your own 2 hands, and bring it down. Obviously, take your measuring tape, take an initial measurement, and make sure you go down, obviously, whatever you want from there. Do not, your don'ts, adjust it from the preload, George. Do not adjust it from the preload, adjust it from the bottom. That's it. Do's and don'ts. Remember 2 1/4. Just in case we fuck up, we could always go back to 2 1/4. So we have something to go back to at all points.
Okay.
Cool. So now we're going to do the same on the other side. Put the wheels on, bring the car down. And then when the car's down, then we look at it. Oh, it's too low, it's too high, and then we go from there. So let's tighten this up, do the other side, and then check out the car. All right. So this is what we got at the first drop. Obviously, we need to drop the back a little bit. So we need to drop the front just a hair. When I mean a hair, just a hair. If you notice, we're basically right there. So I want to say just like, bro, when I mean nothing, we're gonna just drop it by nothing in the front. And the backs, we're gonna drop about I want to say like a 1/4 inch, half an inch. That's all we're missing there. So, all right, well, I guess let's throw it back in and adjust it again. All right, so basically that's what we have for right now. Because we ran out of time, we can't work on it anymore. I ended up having to go home, gotta work, whatever. Gotta go back to Miami. So for right now, this is where we're leaving it, just so you guys can see. Looks pretty good. I need some spaces in the back. We're gonna put some 15mm spaces in the back. I'm gonna come back probably, I don't know, a little later on. I don't know when. And we're gonna finish up with the stance to make it look a little more aggressive, a little more stanced. So right now, that's what we got. So hope you guys like I always say, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned to the channel. You guys already know what it is. Show Miami. Peace.